Welcome to episode 4 of the Degenerate Football Podcast. I am your host, RJ Choppy, your leader. This is my boy, Bo, from the Football Glory Hole, and this is another week of wins and dominance. I'm 25-17-1 on the year, and the Football Glory Hole is at 58%. Both of us are right there about 58%. It's a great start to this football season. You need about 53% success to make money. We're blowing that out of the water.
Oh, yeah. 100%. We went 5-0 last week to our clients in the NFL and 4-1 in the Super Contest, baby.
Woo! That's what I like to hear. So let's start with the NFL because we're just completely dominating and crushing that. Cowboys minus 2.5 in New Orleans. You don't usually see the Saints as a home dog, but the Cowboys do get the 2.5 point spread favorite. How do you like this one?
So we do like this game. However, it's one of those lines that kind of stinks, right? And we're going to talk about why it kind of stinks.
I smell it too.
A 2.5 point line at home for a Cowboys team that's been dominant for the first 3 weeks of the season, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to equate this to somebody everybody can understand. So by definition, most of us are average looking, right? That's how math works. So if you're sitting at the bar and this really smoking hot chick across from it starts giving you a wave like, hey, come over here and buy me a drink, what's most people going to do, Chubb?
Go over there and I'll let her buy me one.
That's right. They're going to go over there and buy a drink, and that's exactly what the public has done in this line. 63% of the money is on the Cows minus 2.5. Of course, why wouldn't it be? However, what we do is take a step back and say, what's your angle there, sweetheart? Because we know something's up, right? So if you look at the look-ahead line in this game last week, it was 3 points, Dallas minus 3.
Uh-huh.
So they've been downgraded by half a point. Now, why would Dallas be downgraded half a point after last week?
People are betting the Saints.
Right. Why are they betting the Saints? Is because the Saints won in Seattle? That was a little bit of a misleading win, right? Mm-hmm. They went up to Seattle. They did win the game. However, you got a defensive touchdown. You got a special team touchdown. At the end of the day, Teddy Bridgewater is still the worst yards per attempt quarterback in the NFL so far.
Teddy Bridgewater in that Saints game completed 2 passes that traveled more than 6.5 yards in the air. That ain't good.
Exactly. So is that the reason for the downgrade, or is it because the Cows didn't look great in the first half against Miami? Possibly. Miami could have been leading that game right after halftime. However,
yeah, probably should have been.
The Cowboys at the end of the game covered a 20-point spread, which, first of all, Choppy, since 1987, that is a 19% proposition to cover a 20-point spread. So, again, they dominated 3 straight weeks. So we don't have a clear answer of why that number went down. So let's go ahead and look ahead to the next week where the Cowboys are minus 4 as of yesterday at home versus Green Bay. So now we're starting to come a little bit clearer because by our numbers, the Cowboys have a bigger delta than 2.5 by quite a bit over the Saints. So you asked me earlier about how much you downgrade them from Miami. Well, that could be part of the problem. We're not downgraded enough to Miami. It's not shrinking the delta.
Okay.
But if you look at the number minus 4 against Green Bay, that's exactly where the number should be, even with Miami inflation in there.
So is the line the Cowboys minus 2.5, what should it be?
So the line
this week,
with the Miami inflation in there, it should be closer to 4.5. So you're talking about a 2-point delta there. But again, Green Bay is right on the number. Both of those can't be true. So the sharp play on this one is figure out, okay, is it Green Bay getting undervalued or the Cowboys getting overvalued? So one of the two has to be true. We believe that it's a little bit of both. Green Bay is getting undervalued a little bit at that minus 4 number because the Miami inflation should bring the Cows down, which means the Cows are not quite a 2-point delta in New Orleans, but we still like the game. It's more on the Bridgewater factor. Then you couple the numbers in and the trends. We really, really like the Cows minus 2.5 on that one.
This is what goes into this, okay? This is why these guys dominate year in and year out. They're close to 60% over the last, 4 or 5 years. Yep. Just because of stuff like that. I look at the number, I'm like, yeah, sure, looks good to me. Teddy Bridgewater, Dak Prescott, 2.5, done, let's do it. Yeah. All right, let's do another game in the NFL, Tampa Bay plus 9.5.
Yep, we love Tampa Bay. We actually locked this in at plus 10 in the Super Contest. This will be one of our premium picks, so free pick here. A couple trends for you. Since 2016, Tampa Bay is 11-8-3 as a road dog. That's 58%. That's about 4th best in the NFL. That's really, really good as a road dog. The same time frame, the Rams are 8-10-1 as a home favorite. That's only 44%. If you think about the dominance they've shown, right? But it's all relative to the number and relative to expectation. So every line in the NFL is expectation. They performed lower or below expectations.
So you see Jameis, and he has a bad perception on the league. Sean McVay is up here. this probably should be a 6, 6.5, 7-point spread, and it's at 9.5.
So exactly. So by our power rankings, the Rams should be about a 7.5-point favorite at home right now. You're getting 2 to 2.5 point delta on that.
Huge.
Go Tampa Bay.
That's huge. That's huge. And the Rams haven't put together a great offense performance this year.
Nope.
And outside of the second half of the Giants game, Tampa's defense has been okay this year. That has not been the problem. Jameis hasn't been the problem either. All right, let's move on to college football. Fresno State, this is a weird one. They're minus 17 on the road against New Mexico State. That's a huge road number for a team that isn't named like Clemson or Alabama.
It really is, and this is not something that we normally do. We did do the Clemson one, remember, minus 28 a few weeks ago. We hit that one, right? So, but I got a question for you. Who is the number one team in college football against the spread since 2016 in all situations?
I'm going to guess it's Fresno State.
It's Fresno State.
Look at that. Oh, man, it's amazing. How did I guess?
Covered.
How did I guess that, right?
Amazing. Nostradamus sitting over here beside me.
They're like the Loyola Maryland of college football. They were like that a couple of years ago. They covered like 25 basketball games in 1 year.
Yeah, so it's one of those weird things of just like a team that nobody talks about, blah, blah, blah. Fresno's 12-2 against the spread in the last 3 years alone. New Mexico State is 45% on covers of home dogs since 2016. In our power rankings, Fresno State is 61st. New Mexico State is 123. So you are still getting great value. And the reason why you're getting the value is because Fresno State is 1-2 right now. They lost a tough one on the road in their opener to USC, and they lost in double overtime 2 weeks ago to Minnesota. So a couple of close games there. They could easily be 2-1. So we're getting some value here. We love Fresno, minus 17.5 at New Mexico State.
I'm actually signing into my account right now and placing a bet on this game. Have to. This is a gimme here. But that's not the only big line. You just mentioned Clemson minus 28 a couple of weeks ago. Don't usually go that high. What about Oklahoma minus 27 this week?
Yeah, we like Oklahoma minus 27 this week. If you look at the power rankings, Oklahoma's 5th in our power rankings. Texas Tech's actually 77. So what that spread be should actually be about 3 or 4 points higher, depending on how much you value the Sooners' home field. So you're still getting 3 or points value delta there. And if you look at a couple of trends we have here, the Sooners are 15-6-1 against the spread versus winning teams in their last 21. Ooh. And the home team in this series has covered 6 straight games, and the Red Raiders are 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 in Norman.
Just a knowledge bomb, punching you right in the face with all kinds of knowledge. That's what we've done here on the Degenerate Football Podcast. So to recap, Cowboys minus 2.5. Tampa Bay plus 9.5 in the NFL, Fresno State minus 17, and Oklahoma minus 27. Anything else?
I think we're good, man.
All right, that's good. We are back at it next week with Week 5 of the Degenerate Football Podcast. I'm RJ Choppy, back Monday morning, 5:30 on 105 through the Fan, and you can always check out the Football Glory Hole.
Yep, at FBallGloryHole on Twitter, www.thefootballgloryhole.com. And you can find any of our podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're back next week with more picks. For Bo, I'm RJ. Talk to you about our dominance Monday morning, 5:30 on 105 through the Fan.